everyone, and welcome to the Nurburgring as we tackle on the full 24-hour layout tonight in round 20 of the Trackstars TS2 Touring Car Championship. We've got a full field of Group 2 race cars set to tackle the 25-kilometre circuit that Jackie Stewart famously coined the term as the Green Hell. And of course, we're here for the Green Hell 100. Joining me tonight in commentary is Nicholas Patasso, also known as NSPUD P66, our defending Trackstars Touring Car Series winner, and of course back-to-back Formula Trackstars Series winner, and he has a bit of big news coming out of MashSpud's racing camp tonight. Not sure if we've actually got Spud with us. Can you hear me, Spud?
Yes, I've got you now. I do apologise. Yes, good evening, everybody. Thank you for jumping on the stream. We're here live at the TS2 Championship here at the Nurburgring 24-hour. Yes, big news coming out of the MashSpud's racing camp. The car number 47 has had to pull out of the Elite Breaker Mechanical Green Hell 250. As the driver for that car points is unable to make it. Unfortunately, he's been having some NBN issues down his way, down in Kiama, and unfortunately on his end, he's been unable to get his NBN and internet up and running in time for the 250 event here at the Nurburgring 24-hour. So but with that said, we have brought up the next driver in line in the MashSpud's racing camp. It is Budsy76 that is coming to join the main series once again, where he made his debut at the Bathurst 1000. A last-minute call-up, might I add, in the Bathurst 1000, put on an exceptional job in the number 405 Pit Lane Esports Lexus to put that car into 6th place before he had to swap over to his teammate in Cylon 96. So he'll be giving full confidence to Budsy, but all he needs to do is just keep it a clean race for him both tonight in both series, and I'll be interested to see how his progress goes tonight.
Yeah, that'll definitely be an interesting one to watch. Of course, yeah, he did such an excellent job at Bathurst, and probably the next difficult track after Bathurst would be the full Nurburgring. So he's certainly done well to pick the two hardest tracks on the game, possibly to make his 2 appearances in the Touring Car Series.
And why not? I mean, it's a glorious track, this one, the Nurburgring 24-hour. Like you said, it's been deemed as the Green Hell by Jackie Stewart, and obviously this is where everyone knows about the famous accident that Niki Lauda had in the 76 Championship, Formula 1 Championship, where his whole car just drove into the Armco, slid into the Armco, and had his whole body, at least 90% of his body, covered in burns, and his lungs full of ash. So a bit of dirty fluids in his lungs. So it was a bit of a shocking turn of events. I mean, I think that I'm not so sure if that was the last event that was held at the Formula 1 circuit for the Formula 1s to race around that track, but I think it was after the 80s where they cancelled the Nurburgring. They got rid of the Nurburgring layout, and they've just stuck to either the Hockenheimring or the GP circuit.
I believe you're right there. It was after 76, when Lauda's crash happened, that they turned around and said, well, no more.
Exactly.
And abandoned the full Nurburgring and went to Hockenheim. And then, of course, probably about 8 or so years later, we ended up with the Nurburgring GP circuit that we know of now, that has now played host to a couple of German Grand Prix and numerous Formula 1 races under the guise of the European Grand Prix as well. And even one was labelled as the Luxembourg GP.
And the GP circuit was last used in 2020, where the Formula 1 drivers came around after a year full of COVID situations, COVID problems around Europe and all around the world, and they tried to congest as many tracks as possible, and Nurburgring was brought back into the frame, and it was great to see the Formula 1 cars drive around that. I would say between the two tracks, I like both German tracks, but I think if I had to choose, I would choose the Nurburgring as the track for Formula 1.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably nowadays would choose the Nurburgring, but probably about 20 years ago, I probably would have said the original Hocket, well, sort of last layout before they Tilkified it, would probably have been my favourite, where they blasted through the forest. All those long straights broken up by chicanes. It was certainly a sight to watch, and you get plenty of joy from the YouTube videos of the screaming V10s going through the forest.
Oh, it was a beautiful sight. I love watching those videos. I love the old layout, like you said, it's great. Obviously, yeah, it was obviously deemed for unsafe with all the trees and all the little Armco barriers, and one mistake could put a driver into the trees. And I think we did have a couple of deaths on that layout as well. So I think that was a safe move for the FIA and the body regulations to cut that circuit down. And then obviously that's the same that happened here with the Nurburgring as well. So I guess in a way we get what we get, but with the game at least we can race in any track, well, except for the Hockenheim Grand Prix. But we have the German Grand Prix here for us at Trackstars TS2. Leading the way for the first part of qualifying is Nightwalker 964 for the WRT Motorsport, where he will be actually making his main series debut. That's not how you want to start a lap, Nightwalker. Don't get sideways onto that section. But like I was saying, this is where Nightwalker is going to be making his debut main series later on this evening in the CP Motorsports car number 4 jump.
Sorry, I had the mic muted there for a second. Yes, he's making his debut for CP Motorsports in the Touring Car Series tonight, but yeah, he's certainly showing some strong form and a call up to CP Motorsports as well, which is a pretty big honour, and he's certainly got a big task ahead of him. I believe there's only like 4 or so points between CP Motorsports and It's Racing Esports at the top of the team standing, so that'll be a nice little battle. So between him and Gabans and myself and Diswood, myself and Diswood will be fighting it out for the top of the Drivers' Championship, along with trying to do our bit for the Teams Championship too.
Yeah, it's a bit of a heated battle between yourself and Diswood one. So I mean, now we've got you here. How do you see this season going along so far for you? And how has the battle between yourself and Diswood propelled you to find pace that probably you may not have seen since your early days in sim racing?
Yeah, it's been an interesting one. I mean, sort of had some. Well, we probably didn't really race each other too much in the opening rounds, and then we got to Blue Moon Bay, and we're actually working together a bit there throughout the middle part of the race, and then I accidentally hooked him into the wall, and then sent myself to the back of the field on that safety car, and then obviously he helped Disappointed to the win there, which was a very good effort from both him and Disappointed. And then obviously probably through the mid part of the season we probably had our few incidents between each other, but I think between the two of us we've grown past that, and I think I can definitely say that I have full faith in going wheel to wheel with him, and knowing that neither of us are really going to intentionally take each other out. So it's definitely been a good battle towards the end of the season, and certainly enjoyed the pace that this wood brings, and also certainly tried to elevate my speed as well to get to his level and maybe even exceed it if I can.
Well, with the hands of your co-driver in mid-map, as you see Loudy Darkmist run a bit wide there coming onto the back of Nightwalker 964. He himself will be making his main series debut later on this evening for the Robo Sport Racing Camp in second place there. But yeah, like you said, I think the battle between you guys has been on and off. You have a couple of incidents between you guys here and there. I think everyone has more or less had some incidents between each other. But the battles that you guys have been having just with this back and forth championship, it's anybody's game, you could say.
Yeah, and of course, can't make too many mistakes because, of course, you're lurking in the background as well. You're not too far out of it either.
Yeah, I'm only about 30 odd points behind DJ in fourth place there. So and I know, and obviously he said to me countless times throughout the whole week and throughout all last week, he hates the Nurburgring and the 24-hour layout. So, and I don't mind, and I like it. So, hopefully I'll be able to get some points over DJ. Hopefully he's listening whilst he's traveling back home from Bathurst. But yes, I'm coming back for that third place in the championship, and I'm gonna obviously I for myself being hopefully be the fastest Lexus out of all the drivers tonight, and hopefully in a way try and give you guys a little bit more pressure than maybe you guys have have a bit of an easy run up the front, but obviously going back to the qualifying here, it is a long circuit, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, this is a 25-kilometer track with the combined layout of the GP circuit and the Nordschleife. So obviously the drivers are just getting themselves used to it. They're going to probably use this lap as a banker lap, don't you think, Jarman? And then maybe the next lap they might go all hell's loose.
Yeah, I certainly think, well, probably my strategy would be to make sure I get a solid lap in this time around. Just maybe probably go at 90% compared to usual. Although that being said, I think a 90% lap around the Nurburgring is probably a good lap time anyway.
I think so too. But obviously now we've got ourselves a little bit of free time. We'll go through the grid through the drivers that's come up through pre-qualifying. So we have there in 5th place we have the Stone Tao, who's representing the Project One racing team. So now this is a team that is looking to make their mark in the main series next year, with the Stone Tao in 5th and then Bot Hod One in 7th place. These guys combined really well to win the Spa 4-hour in the second split between Stone Towel and Bot Hod 1. They managed to get the overall victory in that multi-class endurance race. So it was good showing there for Project One racing team, or as BKX I like to say, Port, and all the boys in Discord say Port, obviously referring to the alcoholic beverage, or we could say fortified wine. I think that's the common term for it. But yeah, obviously those guys will be looking to make a mark here this evening, and obviously 2 cars in the main series is a good start for Project One.
Yeah, obviously, they probably need to get themselves out there, make a bit of an impression, and show everyone in Trackstars what the team's capable of.
And then down in 9th place we have Osquad Moto in 9th place there. He's actually a debut driver. He's actually Calder. He was literally joined our Discord on last night, you could say, and he's making his Trackstars TS2 debut at the Nurburgring Green Hell 100 and 9th place there for the ISAR Racing Camp in 9th place there. So he'll be looking to set some good laps and hopefully get some good mileage points amongst his Nissan GTO. Gets himself maybe familiar with the car and with the drivers around him for the next round in the 2 weeks' time for the Spa 100. But then obviously after that we also have Buranisto in, I think I said that right, Buranisto. I'm not so sure how it's said, but obviously we can refer to him as Brian because we know him very well. So
I think it's like Brian Suto.
Brian Suto.
I feel like that's how it's meant to be.
Mate, you should hear DJ when it comes to pronouncing foreign languages and foreign words he can't even say. So I wouldn't be able to imagine he could say that, let alone myself. But we'll call him for now. We'll call him Brian East. He is in 13th place there. He was the other pre-qualifier that came in. Not so much practice amongst him, but it's good to see him back. Obviously, you remember he was also running under the name Beast Racer 3993. So it's good to have the 39 back in the TS2 field, Jarman.
Yeah, he's obviously had a bit of a number change between his previous stint with us earlier in the year. He was 393, and now he's obviously changed his PSN ID along with his number as well. He's gone for a double-digit number instead of being in the triple digits, of course. Better go back to the front as Nightwalker just crosses the line.
There we go.
And then immediately gets toppled by Mint Matt.
7:09 flat for Mint Matt. That is incredible pace, but as the lap times are flying in, so we wonder if Mint Matt's pace was 100% or, like you said, 90%. But we'll wait for the other drives to come through. What about Budsy76 making his main series debut later on this evening? Will he be able to get any time in? No, he gets a 7:25 there. Duran 50 moves himself up into 2nd place there. And then we see Bod Hod 1 in the Project 113 coming through to the final corner onto the main straight. He's going to get himself up into 5th place there. So we can see the Stone Tail and Bod Hod so far so good for Project 1. Let's look at Oz Quad. Is he going to get himself probably just a bit over, maybe under a 7:30 as he gets through here? No, just a bit over, so 7:30.7. So the times are flying through. Obviously, there are going to be huge gaps between lap times, ladies and gentlemen, because it is a long circuit, and not everyone, I guess, not everyone is very familiar with this 25-kilometer layout.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one to get a hang of. Let's see what Sir Slayer goes into second place. That was a good time for him.
That's a good lap for Sir Slayer in the ISR racing team, sporting his HMA, sporting his military colours with the navy.
I should
Obviously,
correct you there. That's actually an It's Racing livery
oh,
there.
oh, okay. Well, you've got me on. You've caught me there. So it's just an It's Racing Esports livery there. But we'll see. Brian goes through, gets into 10th place there, and then obviously we got Ruckworth coming through, about to get himself an 8-minute lap. So not the lap that he wanted, so just under the 8-minute mark. So he can be happy that he hasn't got an 8-minute lap around this circuit. But so far, the advantage goes to Matt Jarman, your co-driver for the main race for the EBM's touring car enduros. And how do you see his progress looking so far?
It's not very surprising, to be completely honest. Of course, my first experience with Mint Matt was a weekend I spent at what's known as Heave and Pride's place, and him along with myself, Heave and Pride, and also TDZ Dave, who was my co-driver at Bathurst last year. We were all in the team for a Nurburgring 24-hour race, and let's just say that Mint Matt single-handedly dragged our car to a win, I reckon. So to see him going so quick around here is definitely not a surprise to me, because he pretty well lives and breathes this track.
Yeah, and obviously, I guess you could say that for amongst yourselves, you guys are very happy. Well, that was back in the core days, back in 2015 or 16, was it?
2016. Sorry, 2015. So about 4 or 5 months before he went on to become a GT Academy winner and subsequently a Nismo Global Athlete.
Was that? So that was the same time that he had those accolades. Wow.
Yeah, it was, well, earlier in the year he won the Nurburgring 24, and then of course went on to do all the GT Academy stuff and get to drive with Nissan. And
wow, that's incredible.
a year later on, the rest of the GHH team was gathering around in a lounge room with plenty of drinks and cheering on Matt at Monza.
Wow, that's incredible. Yeah, the progression that Matt's gone through over the years playing Gran Turismo back in the early days of GT. I think he got used to the game back in GT4, back in the GT5 days. So he only picked up the game, and then when GT6 came around, and obviously the GT Academy was the thing back in those days. I think he was the third overall winner of the event there. Obviously, I think the first one went to a Spanish Lucas Ordonez, and the other one was I think the second one belonged to Jan Malenborough, and I think the third season went to Matt there. So he's come through the ranks pretty well, and obviously his progress and his racing and his appearances in the World Tour speaks for itself, Jarman.
Yeah, I think they had about 3 winners each year actually. So I think there was I think Lucas Ordonez and Jan were both European winners, and then I think they had an American one as well, and then a rest of the world. So I think probably a few more of the European and rest of the world drivers ended up probably going on to bigger things in the GT3 category. I'm not sure. Didn't really see much of any American drivers throughout those years, so maybe they just didn't quite have licenses or whatever it was to go further with things. But of course, a couple of those guys, I think two of them still might be kicking around racing, of course, and I'm sure if the opportunity came towards Matt, he'd probably take it with both hands as well, and probably say he probably is deserving of another shot.
Absolutely, I think. Well, it's unfortunate with the GT sport world. It doesn't present itself with a real life drive unless you, I guess, you're affiliated with a really strong team Obviously, you've got the likes of Phoenix 7 that is making global headlines, and there's the William Esports team with Valeria Gallo, and then you've got other camps and other big name racing teams out there in the world. Obviously, and here in Australia, you have Satellite Racing as well, who do some real life racing in Australia. So it's kind of in a way got to get your name out there, try to put your name forwards against with the big teams and with the big names, and maybe insert yourself there. Matt has certainly done that with the GT Academy back in the 2015, 2016 era. So, well, one day we'll get to see Matt back on a racetrack. Obviously, DJ was at Bathurst and he said he saw his car, his beloved GTR Godzilla, on the track again. So it's not, and Matt just put an emotional face emoji on on the Discord. So he was happy to see that car again. But hopefully one day I would love to see Matt back on a racetrack again. But as these drivers are coming through onto the long straight for the final time, I think it looks like it's going to be Nightwalker that's going to complete his final lap. He's about 2 seconds, about 3.7 seconds. Then he's going faster than on this lap. So I wonder if that's going to actually propel him into second place here, because I think Sir Slayer was about 5.8. So I have a good feeling that Nightwalker's going to be really far up the grid, Jarman.
Yeah, he's definitely looking on track for second place here. Let's see what happens as he crosses the line. And yes, he does it.
He does it, and he's got 3/10 in hand over Sir Slayer 1991. So Matt doesn't improve. So Sir Slayer's a little bit further away, back down the track, coming towards the back end of the circuit. So I wonder who else is coming through. Loudy Darkmist has come through, so he's actually improved his time, and he's a lot closer to the guys up the front. But Duran 50 is one we need to keep an eye on. In 5th place, he goes second place as well, so he's about 2.9 behind Matt. So that's a great accomplishment for Duran 50 and the number 50 CP Motorsport entry.
Yeah, very good lap there from Duran, and certainly gets him on the front row for this race. Let's see what Bodhod and the Stone Towers. I don't think the Stone Towers going to do anything with that incident, so let's have a look at what Bodhod's got across the line.
No
he
improvement.
hasn't got improvement.
I saw him lift off the throttle there. We see Budsy improve his lap, but not enough to threaten the top 5. And then we've got Brian down in 12th, Mikes in 12th place, Little Blacko. That's a big name that we have to see. Jarman, Little Blacko in 13th place, and as you said to me earlier in the stream, now he's gone up into 6th place there. He needs to, what was the calculations that he needs to have over Rugworth? Just remind me again.
If he scores, well, he has to score 47 points or less than Rugworth to take the title.
So he needs to be an equivalent of 8 positions ahead of Rugworth here. So 6th place
behind, actually.
Oh, behind. Yes, that's correct. So if he finishes ahead of Rugworth by 8 positions, then we will have our TS2 champion crowned this evening. So we're going to have. So we had one championship crown go to Warpath 36. We might have another one this evening, John.
Yeah, it could be a big night for champions here.
Absolutely, not a bad way to bring yourself back into the commentary box over these last couple of weeks. Brian comes through, stays in 11th place, hasn't been able to improve his lap, but we had to keep an eye on Rugworth. I believe he was on a much faster lap that time around. So in 15th place there, can he improve his lap as he goes through to the final back straight?
Yep,
he does. So, but only into 12th place though. So there you go, 6 positions between himself and Little Blacko. So it's going to be a big ask for Rugworth to try and claw it up. But I guess around this circuit, Jarman, anything can happen.
Yeah, it looks like we've gonna have a few minutes break by the looks of things, because there's a couple in pit lanes. So I might just duck off quickly and prepare myself for a long race.
Exactly right. So but I'll run you through the grid. We've got Matt on pole position, comfortable, but he was not a little bit of a worry there with Duran 50 lurking behind him, about just under 3 seconds in second place with Duran 50. Nightwalker pipping Sir Slayer 1991 for 3rd place, and then Sir Slayer in 4th. Loudy Darkmist will be also making his main series debut, as mentioned earlier in the broadcast. In 5th place, Little Blacko in 6th. Then we have the Stone Towel in 7th, and then we have Bodhod 1 in 8th place, and then I believe it was Budsy in 9th, and then I believe if I had to guess in 10th place it would be, I think it was Osquad Motto, I believe that would have been in 10th place. So another driver from the ISAR camp putting on a great show for us this evening. And as we get ourselves ready to go racing underway, we've got about a 3-minute gap. So I guess for all this, it is win or lose for Matt here. One mistake can put you into the Armco, can really upset your rhythm around this track if you get one slight mistake wrong. But as we go through the chats here, we actually have the one and only DJ joining us in the chat, YouTube chat here this evening. We've got DJ coming in saying he's saying obviously at least Jarman sounds normal now. Yes, he does. He doesn't have the little crackly voice anymore. And then you have Wayne Barrington coming in as well, who's saying Warpath did well given that carnage. Absolutely, yeah. It's a big track for big commitments for Warpath 360, and yeah, he definitely wrapped that championship up with style, getting that top 5 at the end of the race 2 there. So WRT gets a trophy for their hard work this season, and maybe possibly that will give them a bit of a confidence boost when it comes to getting a main series drive next year. But we'll have to wait and see, because we've got Nightwalker 964 in 3rd place. He'll be looking for a driver to partner alongside him, a top caliber driver, maybe somebody that's like a mid-Matt. Who knows? Maybe somebody that's the caliber of a mid-Matt, or maybe better. You never know what WRT are coming through with the odds here. But obviously with the drivers here, we've got, obviously everyone has crossed the line, but I guess how the game works, unfortunately, you have to sit around, wait around a minute and a half. Maybe this is a great chance for these guys to go to the bathroom quickly and just get themselves ready for the next 4 laps. So Wayne is ANZL Cowboy. So good to have you on, Cowboy. Good to have you on the stream here, buddy. And hopefully you enjoy the race this evening here at the Nurburgring 24 Hour for the EBM Green Hell 100 for these boys here at TS2. We're getting closer towards the championship finale, ladies and gentlemen. We only have about 3 more rounds, including this one, to go, with Little Blacko leading the championship, a very strong championship lead over Rugworth in 2nd place in the 74 MSR VL Racing. That was obviously due to Xylon 96 having to pull out, withdraw his entry from the TS2 and Formula 2. So, and it's given Little Blacko a bit more of a free ride to the championship glory for a Little Blacko there. But as we get some other drivers coming in, we have Prezzo joining us with the port shout. Yes, I wish I could have some myself right now, but I've got a race coming up in a couple of hours' time, so it might be better to stay off the alcoholic beverages and just focus for a long race ahead. And then we have DJ. He's who's better than Matt? Yeah, I kind of agree. Well, I mean, we had some great drivers in the EBM charity event, so any of those guys could be on the caliber of Matt. So maybe Warpath is secretly finding somebody from a bigger league or from the FIAs. But finally, we've got the grid sorted out. Ladies and gentlemen, the screen has gone to race mode here, where we are here live for the Trackstars TS2 Touring Car Championship, the Green Hell 100, bringing you round 20 of this long season from all the way back in February up to December, with 3 rounds to go. We have Matt for the BCG Car 89 in the Honda leading the way ahead of Duran 50, CP Motorsports Car 50, Nightwalker 964 in 3rd place, and Sir Slayer in 4th, and Loudy Darkmist rounding up the top 5. So as we wait for those lights to go green, we've got 4 red lights. Drivers are waiting anxiously. Lights out, green flag racing, and we've got a great start for Matt there. Duran 50 is going to pull alongside him. He's just going to tuck in behind. Matt's got himself a good, comfortable car length ahead of Duran 50. Any pile drivers coming through here. Looks like it's relatively clean amongst the drivers. Looks good. Hopefully that's a clean start for our drivers, but so far leading the way, leading the pack, it is Matt, ahead of Duran, ahead of Nightwalker, ahead of Sir Slayer and Loudy Darkmist. So an unchanged front 5 in the first part of this sequence, but we see Budsy actually improve himself up into 6th place there. So that's a nice good start for Budsy from 9th place in the grid. Little Blacko drops 1 in 7th place, and then the Stone Tail drops 1 position down in 8th place. But so far so good, you could say, for Matt in the number 89 BCG Racing Honda.
Yeah, Mint's definitely off to a great start, of course, and Ram following in pursuit, trying to keep pace as well. But of course, good start here from Nightwalker. I think Sir Slayer's just dropped back a bit there. He's dropped down the 5th, and that's allowed Loudy Darkness to jump on ahead. So good start there from Loudy, and he's got himself up to 4th, and he'll definitely be one to watch out for in this main series race as well.
Like I said, it was a great start for Butsy as well, but he's coming under attack from Little Blacker here, so he's going to have to go on the offensive whilst trying to attack Sir Slayer. But can Little Blacker go for a move? He doesn't, so he backs out of it. But Butsy runs a bit too deep, and then he gets a hit from Bodhod 1 that unsettles the number 14, but he goes around the outside of Butsy 76. Can he hold that? No, he doesn't, so he's going to have to hold back and wait patiently where it comes to the technical section, Jarman, the Nordschleife section. Here we are, first lap of the 4th lap. We're in the Nordschleife section of the track. And I guess you could say, in a way, it is single file running from here on in.
Yeah, it's going to be really tough to make a pass from here on in. There's probably a few spots that you can get away with doing it, but you have to be absolutely confident of it and be assured that you're getting all the way along the side before making a move stick. Otherwise, it's just going to end in disaster for both of you.
Butsy looks like a bit of a cork in the bottle there amongst the drivers in 6th place there, as he's letting Sir Slayer just run away a little bit there between himself and 5th place there. And Little Blacker just really needs to get those points, really needs to get that advantage over Rugworth. So if we try and see if we can find Rugworth down the eyes, I see contact between the teammates there, between Bodhod 1 and the Stone Towel, making contact amongst each other. I wonder if we can see a quick replay amongst those guys, but I would have to say I believe the 2 teammates made in contact.
Yeah, I think bit of arrow wash there through that turn, following the cars in front. And, oh no, he's actually done it all by himself.
Oh, okay.
So maybe just got a bit too aggressive and got himself onto the grass as a result.
Oh, that is so unlucky there for Bodhod 1. He's been showing some good performances and good showing in the endurance, in the multi-class endurance series, but unfortunately his run with the main series with the TS2 hasn't been able to show much so far, but hopefully he can move his way up the field as we see Little Blacker make a move on Budsy there. So he's cleared Budsy 76 there. He's cleared the block, the roadblock between himself and Budsy 76 there to take 6th place, and he's now going to be on the charge towards Sir Slayer. But so far we have Mid-Matt leading the way ahead of Duran 50, Nightwalker 964, Loudy Dark Mist in 4th, Sir Slayer in 5th, Little Blacko, Budsy in 6th and 7th, and then the Stone Tailed in 8th. So I guess in a way we have to keep an eye on the front, but we also have to keep an eye on Little Blacko and Rugworth. So where is Rugworth amongst the field, Jarman?
He's a bit further down. He's down in 13th at the moment. So at this stage, Little Blacko is well and truly got the championship something up. But I think after getting past Butsy, he's just gone a little bit tight here and just not quite making the moves that he should. But he's
and I see
coming up to 5th now.
Yeah, and I saw Sir Slayer just have a bit of a moment there, just cost him a little bit of time, and Blacker, that gives Blacker all the initiative to make a move on Sir Slayer 1991. As you can see a quick replay, just gets a little bit too wide. There was a bit of a yellow flag caution there for one of the drivers there, so that may have put him off a little bit there. But unfortunately, he's still held on to 5th place, and Blacker's charging very fast. So if he keeps that pace up, he's definitely got this championship wrapped up. But as he's going side by side with Sir Slayer, look at the straight line speed on Little Blacko's car. That is magnificent pace there for Blacko in the Nissan.
Yeah, that could play well and truly into his advantage tonight. And good straight line speed will help him get past some of those cars in front when they make mistakes, and he'll just be able to hold on to position through the technical stuff and then try and pull away as he gets to the straights again.
Have Little Blacko in 5th and Rugworth outside of the top 10, so he needs to be 7 positions ahead or 8 positions ahead of Rugworth to seal the championship. And so far he's got that magic number 8. So all that Blacko has to do is keep the car in this position, and he has to try and make in-grounds to his teammate in Loudy Darkness. Now he knows that Loudy Darkness is his teammate, but I wonder if Loudy does know about this championship implication, Jarman, that I don't think Loudy Darkness wants to give up 4th place, but if he has to do it for the championship's sake, he may as well have to. He may have to.
Well, actually, remember it is the other way around, that Rugworth has to finish 8 spots in front of Little Blacko to keep the championship alive. So as it sits now, Little Blacko is very comfortably in control of the championship. So probably doesn't need Loudy Darkness to move over or anything like that. So.
Yeah, you did say that earlier, and I always get a little bit of a mix up there. So all thanks for clarifying that up. Luckily, I've got you in here. What would I do without you?
Who knows?
I mean, I could
have a good banter with DJ.
I think that was pretty much what we were having between the two of us. Just more of a bit more of a banter show rather than calling as well as calling the action. But that's but we'll hopefully get him back in over the next couple of rounds, DJ, and he's obviously making his way back home, but still leading the way about 4.2 over, sorry, about 4.8 over Duran 50. That's an incredible pace by Matt there, coming onto the back straight for the first time. And we're about to almost complete our first lap, Jarman, and man, it's such a long lap around here.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to come back around, and certainly one for the TV screens rather than watching it trackside. I can certainly say that.
He's just increased that gap to just under 5 seconds there. Looks like he's just lacking a little bit of straight line speed compared to Duran 50, so you can see that gap closing massively. But I guess the mid-engine rear-wheel drive Honda plays its cards very nicely on that technical windy section just past the carousel.
Yeah, of course, Honda certainly has a lot better cornering, you'd probably say, than the other cars, but yeah, straight line speed is probably where the missing Lexus will gain it back. But yeah, Matt crosses the line, about 4.8 in front of around 50, and then of course Nightwalker pulling out the podium at this point.
But Nightwalker's not really letting go of Duran 50 here, so Nightwalker really needs to keep a clean nose here. And obviously we do know that the Honda's very strong around this track. If he keeps a clean nose, he'll be on the back of Duran 50 over the next few corners, I'd say. I mean, the corner is has 170 corners this track, so I don't know, maybe on corner 85 you might be able to have him. Surely not.
Yeah, of course, it's very much a possibility, and yeah, you can't fault the job that Nightwalker's doing at the moment, but of course we've got 3 very long laps to go in this one, so nothing can be taken for granted at all.
Yeah, and as I have my little mess up there, obviously DJ was quick to point that out there, and yes, thanks DJ, thanks for that. I mean, obviously I'm trying to fill the role in for you. Obviously you would be saying comments like that, but I guess I have to fill the void for you and let Jarman do all the technical stuff. So, so thanks for the banter there, mate. But yes, but we've got ourselves. But Nightwalker will really need to start thinking about closing that gap, and obviously, like how you and I used to say back in the day, obviously the Amazon tracker will probably bring Nightwalker closer to Duran 50 in about, obviously you could say this lap, but just when around this circuit, who knows?
Yeah, the AWS tracker would probably have a field day and probably have a fit actually, trying to predict how many laps and all that sort of thing. Maybe narrow it down to like corners or something.
Yeah, I think that's right. You can't say Nightwalker's going to get Duran 50 in 1 lap's time. We're already on this lap already, but where? That's going to be the big question. But as we see the teammates here, the Project One racing team, the Hot One's actually just come off a little bit better after that little mistake that he had on the first opening lap there, but he's come up into 6th place very nicely. And then I see Sir Slayer there, so I managed to miss all of this jump, but Sir Slayer's all the way down in 8th place. There's something drastic has happened to Sir Slayer either in the end of the first lap or at the beginning of the second.
Yeah, obviously something has gone wrong there, because yeah, he was sitting up in about 6th spot, battling away with little Blacko there, and now he's just dropped down to 8. So I'm assuming a mistake somewhere, seen him go off track, maybe take a bit of damage, and that's just allowed the 2 Project One cars to jump ahead.
Yeah, I think so. And I believe, and obviously this track is very technical. One mistake can really put you down the grid. And obviously we see that with Sir Slayer. He was running up as high as 5th place, and just one little mistake for Sir Slayer drops him all the way down to 8th place. So this track does bite, ladies and gentlemen. It's the infamous Nurburgring 24-hour layout that we are running here for the Trackstars TS2 and for the EBM Touring Cars main series coming up in the next hour or so. But we have Matt leading the way ahead of Duran 50. I think we actually lost. I wonder how far back down Budsy is, because Budsy was actually running high, but obviously he's not in the picture frame. He's down in 14th. So after a great start for Budsy 76 there at the opening laps of the race, he had a great opening lap, moving himself up into 6th, but now he's all the way down into 13th, and then we've just had one driver disconnect from the lobby there, and now he's up into 12th place. So one driver's had a bit of a DNF there, and unfortunately for these guys in the Robo Sport Cam, obviously one driver's very happy to claim the championship, but I guess in a way for Robo Sport and Minko's, this is not how their race was panning out so far this evening.
Yeah, you could possibly say that maybe Robbo's had a bit of an interrupted preparation for this race, and maybe Mickey's has probably not quite come to grips with the track as well, so both guys struggling to get a handle on this, and I think they'd probably be looking forward to moving into Spa next week or in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, I think it'd be an easier track
And
to just
there's Sir Slayer dropped out, so
so Slayer. So I think he just I think it wasn't I think it's just after that mistake, I think he just threw in the towel. Obviously this track can kind of cause fits and kind of cause a bit of rage when you do make a mistake there. So I guess for him, fair enough. Obviously he's not in the contention for a championship, but I guess in a way you've done what you could. You've done about a lap and a half there. So I guess in a way, completing a lap around this layout is I guess an achievement in a way.
yeah, if you can get one done cleanly, that's definitely an achievement. 10 is probably going to be a race-winning effort, I'm going to say.
Oh my goodness, we're not looking forward to this one coming up in just over an hour's time. The main series, 10 laps around this circuit where tires and fuel come for a strategy, ladies and gentlemen. The one race 10 lapper, and we've got two compounds where the soft tires can only be used once amongst the drivers. So we only have one set of soft tires for the main series, while these guys in the TS2 have one set of medium tires. So as these guys get comfortable with their mediums, I guess in a way for us drivers, we get to see how the cars handle on the medium tires and over the practice during the week. The car doesn't feel too bad on the mediums, but once you see those drivers on the soft tires and you're coming through this windy section, you have to be really careful where you make your moves.
Yeah, well, I actually haven't touched the soft tyres yet. I've just been doing practice on the mediums, getting comfortable with that, knowing that that's probably where the majority of the race is going to be, and might have to do a bit of soft tyre running just to evaluate it for tonight's race, actually.
Yeah, so it's going to be a big challenge for the main series drivers tonight. So you will see drivers that will connect with the track very nicely. As we see, obviously the likes of Nightwalker and Loudy Darkness, they will be making their debut in the main series. They obviously come into grips with this track very nicely in 3rd and 4th place respectively. But it looks like Nightwalker hasn't closed that gap on Duran 50, but Loudy Darkness is not breaking away from having him in his sights in 4th place there. So any mistake that Nightwalker makes, Loudy Darkness could be on the podium within the next few laps.
Yeah, it's probably one of the closest battles by the looks of things at the moment, as Rod and Stone Tower have gone out to a 6-second gap. Look through the field, there doesn't seem to be a lot in the way of battles forming.
And then we see Osquad Motto obviously having a good solid run for his debut TS2 championship outing, down in 9th place. So Benja will be really happy to see his progress coming along very nicely. But so far we're about to commence lap 3, where Matt is still leading the way in the 89 BCG Honda, getting himself psyched up and ready to go for the finale coming around in December 13 through to 16, or 16 through to 19, I apologize. So he's rearing up, ready to go, getting that Honda tuned in for yourself and for Matt to get that championship glory at the St. Croix 1500.
Yeah, I've just seen a bit of a banter comment from Disappointed. I'll just point out that I've done a 702 on medium, so if you can do that on the softs, then I'll start practicing.
Oh, good old stuff. But anyway, as we get ourselves along the way, it's about a 9-second gap between Matt and Duran 50. So I guess in a way, you can say Matt has run away with this, but one mistake that Matt made can really bring Duran 50 back into the play, because we did see Matt make a mistake back at the Bathurst race when that was the support category for the Bathurst 1000. He did make a mistake there, but he had a 15 second gap over the nearest driver, and then he still managed to keep the lead with I think he still managed to keep that 4-second lead after that spin. So I think Matt is just trying to check away a little bit, but I guess one mistake can really bring Duran 50 into play for the victory tonight.
Yeah, it'll very much be a balancing act whether try and push and build that gap and run the risk of throwing it off the track, or play it a bit more conservative. I feel like Matt probably has the most knowledge of balancing that tightrope and making sure he pulls out enough of a gap without doing anything completely stupid. So he might have a good gap here just in case something does go wrong, but he can still recover it and maybe push on to try and get a win here still.
So as we look through the whole season of the Trackstars TS2, obviously you see the big shout outs to, or the big victories that go towards the likes of Mint Matt, Viper Z, Duran 50, and then even you get a few occasional other fast drivers in there as well. But what has stood out for you mostly this season? If you exclude those three drivers, those really fast drivers, who do you think would be the top driver besides the top three? That is Matt, Duran, and Viper.
I'm gonna go with someone that I think probably should be leading the championship right now if he was still racing with us. Is Xylem 96. Like when the likes of Matt, Duran, Viper Z all joined in, he sort of struggled a little bit to keep up with their pace. But I'm guessing a good team manager and yourself had some words with him, gave him a bit of motivation and encouragement, and all of a sudden he found some form, and he actually wasn't too far off of those guys at the midpoint of the season. And I think that was really setting himself up to make a push for the championship, and he certainly reeled in that gap to Little Blacko, and I think he even had the lead at one point, and then of course after Bathurst he had to drop out of the series for the reasons that you obviously explained at Tokyo. But yeah, I think if he was here he'd probably be leading the championship, or at least giving Little Blacko a very good run for his money at the moment.
And I guess in a way, the same thing usually happens with Viper Z. When Viper Z can't have Matt in the race, it kind of becomes a little bit of a boring race, you could say. So I guess not so much of a challenge, because obviously the likes of Matt and Duran. So we see yellow flags, and then sorry to cut that off. Duran 50 has made his first mistake up in the top three, and he is the one that has actually made the mistake, not Mint Matt. So we've got a replay here, ladies and gentlemen. He just comes in maybe a little bit too fast to this right-hander, gets on the grass and spins the car out. So that is costly for Duran 50.
Yeah, hardly any contact with the grass, but just enough to get him to lose control. And yeah, round he goes and gives up that second position to Nightwalker. And of course, Loudy Darkmist also gets ahead as well. So Duran 50 going from second, maybe just applying enough pressure to keep Mint Matt honest, and now he's out of the podium contention. Well, not completely out of the podium contention, but he's out of the podium places, and he's got to find his way back on.
And look who's lurking in the background, Jarman. Little Blacko is right behind. He's about 3.1 behind Duran 50, but obviously he's going to get held up a little bit by Loudy Darkmist here, so I won't count out Little Blacko. And Duran makes another mistake again, so this is going to bring Little Blacko in a little bit closer towards the front here, and he might be able to get himself close to a fourth place, but maybe not just a fourth place, maybe a podium here this evening.
Yeah, of course, I think he might have to rely a bit on Duran, maybe pushing Loudy Darkmist into a mistake as well, but at the moment I think Duran's just having a little bit of a struggle there, trying to compose himself again, get back onto the wheel and start pumping out the sectors times that he needs to put in. But hopefully now he's trying to get himself a bit more settled. He might be able to work on reeling back in towards that podium.
I think so too, and those gaps are going to be more or less balancing, but we're going to be a little bit more playing up between Loudy, Duran and Blacko. So I think that's going to be the closest battle we're going to see on the track this evening, ladies and gentlemen, for the battle for the podium positions. But I guess you can away one mistake here, one mistake around this track, and you are gone. And we saw that with Duran 50 there, and we see an incident there. So contact has been made between Oz Quad Moto, but has he made contact with somebody else? So he's got engine damage here, but does he get in the way of other drivers? It looks like Devlin is trying to go through. He escapes that narrowly, and he just makes contact with Oz Quad, and Budsy 76 is right behind there, and then Budsy 76 spins around as well. So all chaos is happening here, ladies and gentlemen, towards the back here, all with the minus of touches and incidents, and obviously the worst that came off with that was Oz Quad Moto and Budsy 76.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. Looks like a bit of a clumsy move there from Devlin, so that might be one for the stewards to look at later on because, yeah, it didn't look like, well, it looked like Osquad Moto sort of had the position there and then Devlin sort of tried to push the issue a bit.
I don't know. I think he was a little bit hesitant to trying to make the move there because he doesn't know that Osquad had a engine damage, so he would not have known that he was going so slow. So obviously he was trying to match his pace, but what that has done, that has propelled Rugworth up into 9th place from 12th. So I guess it's a 3-for-1 for Rugworth there, 9th place. So nice work for him. But the battle rages on for 3rd place. Loudy Dark Mist in 3rd, Duran 50 in 4th, and Little Blacker in 5th. And we are just about to start the final lap here this evening, ladies and gentlemen, for the Trackstars TS2 Touring Car Championship, where we have Mint Matt leading the way in the 89 BCG, Nightwalker in the 964 WRT in 2nd, then this raging battle between Loudy, Duram, and Blacko. Looks like Duram's a little bit closer to Loudy than what Blacko is to Duram, so I think maybe they've just dropped off Blacko nicely there, and I guess in a way it's going to bring these two, Loudy and Duram, a lot closer to each other.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting battle over this final lap, and Duram obviously recovering from that mistake will be very desperate to get back onto the podium and earn some reward for the pace he's shown so far. But he's going to have to try and find a way around Loudy Dark Mist and reel in that 1 second gap over the course of this long final lap. Probably about 21 kilometres left in this race.
Yeah, I would say so too. But I guess big honourable mentions go to Bodhod 1 and the Stone Tail for the Project 1 racing team down in 6th and 7th there. So that's a nice showing for those guys, pushing their claim for a main series next year. And then we have Brian in 8th place, putting on a nice showing there as well, just keeping his nose clean and watching the accidents unfold ahead of him. And he's been able to pick up the pieces. So an 8th place for him is a nice solid drive for him. But going back to what we were saying with Cylon 96 before the incident with Duran 50 picked up, that so unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to lead the championship. He was only about 18 points away, or 13 points away from Little Blacko at one point just before Bathurst. And obviously, had he gone ahead of Blacko in that race, he would have been leading the championship. But yes, unfortunately, work commitments came into play, and a big season and a big year for him, as well as the COVID-struck pandemic that happened in Melbourne on his end as well. So, and he obviously had to call it quits in TS2, but it's definitely not going to be the last time we see him. Next year, he's going to be back up and running. Unfortunately, with not with the number 1 next to his name, but hopefully be able to have a cleaner run next year in next year's TS2 Championship.
Yeah, of course. Probably a premature end for Zion, but yeah, of course, if he doesn't pick up a main series ride, which I think I'd probably say that he's very much capable of doing. If there was a team out there, I'd probably looking for a driver. I'd probably put him forward as one of the leading candidates. There's probably a few others there as well that are probably almost just as deserving as a drive. But yeah, he certainly would be one that would do a mighty fine job in the main series, I reckon.
Absolutely, I think so too. He showed some class in the Bathurst 1000 and Kyoto 500 in the main series specs, and also making his debut at the CP Motorsports Honda back at the Spa in the wet Spa race in race 2 and 3. So be putting his name forward there for main series drivers. Unfortunately, at least on my side of the garage, our side is full with myself and Kunz, so I'll be definitely pushing his name forwards to other teams that would like to acquire services from Cylon 96, but only time will tell. But we are focused on this battle, gentlemen. For 3rd place, he's closed that gap. It is just under 0.6 of a second here between Loudy Dark Mist for 3rd place, between Loudy and Duran 50. Who's going to come out on top? Let us know in the comments below who's going to come out on top between these guys. Will it be Loudy in the 157 RoboSport Racing Nissan, or will it be Duran 50, the number 50 CP Motorsports Nissan? Let us know in the comments, but it is brewing, gentlemen. Who's going to make that crucial mistake?
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, especially when we get to the final straight. I'd nearly say that I'd have my monopoly money on Duran 50 heading down to Dottinger. I reckon he's probably just got that speed advantage over Loudy Dark Mist, so if he can just hang on to that straight, I reckon he's got enough to get past. But can't rule out that Nightwalker's only about 3.5 seconds up the road, so just a small mistake from him, and it could elevate both of them onto the podium.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and obviously we saw that with Duran 50 making one crucial mistake, and that was all she wrote for him, going from 2nd to 4th place there. So very unlucky for Duran 50, as we see. Ooh, a quick glitch there amongst the drivers there, but the rear vision camera on these cars going through that whole straight and windy section, that's just so magnificent. And watch, now they're coming through to the carousel section here, so as we get towards the front, and just, oh, look at that. It just looks so nice around there. Those cars look really planted. So these guys have been really working their tunes perfectly for this layout track. But it's only about just under 4/10 between these two drivers, Loudy Darkmist and Duran 50. We will keep an eye on mid-Matt as the race goes by to get him across the checkered flag there. But it's still Matt leading the way ahead of Nightwalker. And then this pack here, we've got Loudy Darkmist versus Duran 50. Who comes out on top? Only time will tell within the next couple of minutes' time.
Yeah, very close battle here. So just about 6/10 between the two. It's certainly brewing up to be a very close one between these two for the final spot on the podium.
And I think Loudy needs to get himself just over that 7/10 second gap over himself and Duran 50 to be out of that slipstream range, as the slipstream is pretty powerful in these cars, and the drag with these cars is reduced very, very heavily, so that gives the car a little bit more straight line speed along the straight. So I guess in a way, looks like he's doing well so far. Loudy's just under a second there, but he needs to find a little bit more. But if he gets himself at least 8/10 ahead of Duran 50, he could be clear, and that 3rd place could be his. But anything can happen within the next couple of corners leading up to the straight.
Yeah, I'd even say he probably needs a second to be completely safe, because if Duran gets, I'm going to say 3/10 of half a second just for his own acceleration.
He ran wide on that second part of the bowl of that carousel section, and now that's gone up to about 1.3, so that is it. So Duran, about 1.1, so that is it. So he's not able to get himself closer to Loudy Darkmist, but unless he's got really good straight line speed, he might be able to close up, but maybe not enough. But for the final time here for the TS2 touring cars, round 20 for the Green Hell 100, for the final time, round the final corner for the 89 BCG Racing, and belongs to mid-Matt once again, taking the line honours and the victory here at Trackstars TS2. A big congratulations to Matt and BCG Racing, and the fastest lap to go with that as well, 7 minutes 7 second lap time. That almost matches his qualifying time back at the early stages. But a big congrats to Nightwalker. And look at that, Duran 50's closed up nicely. So can he get himself with a little bit of slipstream? Will Loudy Darkmist hold off Duran 50? Duran 50's tucked right in the slipstream, and it belongs to Loudy Darkmist in the 157 Nissan RoboSport Racing Cab in 3rd place with Duran 50. A solid drive there for him, but very unlucky for him with those mistakes there. Little Blacko in 5th. Bodhod 1 was closing the gap nicely to Little Blacko there, so obviously a mistake from Blacko's end brought Bodhod a lot closer. And then we have the Stone Tail coming towards the back section of the track, then with Brian in 8th place, and then Rugworth in 9th place. But wow, what a finale that was between Loudy and Duran, Jarman.
Yeah, that was a lot closer than I was expecting down the main straight. Well, yeah, towards the finish line, I sort of thought with Duran running wide that he'd have that spot sewn, well, Loudy would have that spot sewn up, but wow, that pace on Duran's car was very strong down the Dottinger, and that really helped him close up.
And I guess you have to sacrifice, I guess whether you sacrifice downforce and straight line speed, or you have more downforce and straight line speed, you've got to find a happy medium balance between those cars. But then we see Brian rounding up himself on the top 8, so that's a nice drive for him. But then we've got teammates in Rugworth and Budsy 76 here. So Budsy 76 just reeling in Rugworth very shortly, and I don't think he's going to make a move on Rugworth there, because he knows he wants to help his teammate out. Of course, second for consolidating second place in the championship, got there in the end. But Rugworth holding off 9th place with Budsy in 10th, and then Duran 50, Devlin Calypso in 11th place there. So I guess you could say in a way the championship is wrapped up, and it goes to the number 14 Little Blacko. That wraps up the TS2 championship. So big congratulations to the RoboSport boys and for Little Blacko for taking line honours and the championship. for TS2. So big season that was for Little Blacko. 8 wins on the trot at the beginning of the season. And then it just found himself a little bit off the pace when the likes of Matt, Viper, and Duran 50 came through. His nearest challenger, and Xylon 96, couldn't make it over these next few rounds after pulling out after the Bathurst race. But it all came down. But all Blacko had to do was keep his nose clean, and he's come through with the championship glory and bringing the championship back home to RoboSport Racing.
Yeah, so definitely big congratulations to Little Blacko. Very well earned championship, of course. Stuck it out over the course of the season. Plenty of other drivers who probably have done just as many rounds, so you can't really call it just a participation trophy. He has had to beat a bunch of other cars as well, so definitely very well played to Little Blacko, and a very worthy champion for this year in the Track Stars TS2 Touring Car Championship.
So Matt takes the victory for the Green Hell 100 here for round 20 of 22. But the big picture goes to Little Blacko in the number 14 CP Motorsports. Oh, sorry, not CP. That was a bit of a blunder there. In the RoboSport Racing Camp, Nissan number 14 GTR there. So fifth place, definitely enough to seal his championship and bring the trophy back home to the boys down at RoboSport Racing. So congratulations to him. But as we run through the grid, it's Matt ahead of Nightwalker, ahead of Loudy Darkness, holding off Duran 50 on that last couple of corners there. An epic battle between those two drivers. But I guess in a way, the biggest loser out of that was Duran 50 and that mistake on lap 2.
Yeah, unfortunately, just got a bit too wide by the barest of margins, and it proved so costly for him.
Then we've got Little Blacko rounding up the top 5. Bodhod 1 having a nice stint there in 6th place with his teammate the Stone Tail in 7th. Brian in 8th place, Rugworth in 9th, and then Budsy rounding up the top 10 after a strong start, but obviously had a few little mistakes in the end. And we caught the back end of a bit of a kerfuffle there between himself, Osquad, and Devlin Calypso, who is down in 11th place. RoboSport in 12th, Osquad in 13th, Mikez 1, 2, 3 in 14th, didn't make the finish line. And the only DNF for this race was Sir Slayer 1991 in the 356 Eats Racing Esports Honda. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is one part of the Nurburgring 24-hour layout for the Green Hell 100 TS2 Championship, wrapped up by Mint Matt, taking the line honours and the victory away from the rest of the field there. So a class act there from Mint Matt.
Yeah, he's done very well, and of course a great fastest lap. He's dropped the message to me saying basically that last lap was basically perfection for him, as close to what he could get for a perfect lap, and it certainly showed with that lap time.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible. A 707 on medium tyres in TS2 pace. I'm not too sure. I think some Nissan and Lexus drivers might have to look under the bonnet of that car. So we'll have to wait and see. But no, he fully deserved it. Big congrats to him. And then also big congratulations to Blacko for sealing the TS2 championship. Well deserved throughout the whole season. But that is it amongst myself and Spud P666 and Jarman Dale. It's Racing. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Trackstars TS2 Championship. But on behalf of us and the TS2 drivers, we will catch you guys next week for the F2, and then 2 weeks' time for the TS2 round at the Spa 100. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned within an hour's time for the main series for the Elite